day 2 of summer camp. I hope you enjoyed yourself yesterday. I certainly did. It was great fun, and I hope you are able to do all the crafts and all the games, and you learned something new about how awesome our God is. Well, today we are going to be looking at fire. So I think before we get any further, let's make sure that we have our name badges on. That means you're part of our club. And make sure you have a Bible nearby too. So before we get any further, we are going to do some singing and dancing. So up on your feet, let's do some singing and dancing. And don't forget, if you manage to film yourself doing your dances, send them to me so we can add them in to the videos. Let's go.
Upon His word, and whatever comes our way, we are strong and we are brave. His truth will be our guide through the day, and the darkest night our God will give us strength. We are strong and we are brave, and we will stand together, stand forever. We will stand strong, standing up for God each day. We will stand strong. Hey! Hey! Alright, here we go again. We will trust in God alone. We will stand upon His word, and whatever comes our way, we are strong and we are brave. His truth will be our guide through the day, and the darkest night our God will give us strength. We are strong and we are brave, and we will stand together, stand forever. We will stand strong, standing up for God each day. We will stand strong, and we will stand together, stand forever. We will stand strong, standing up for God each day. We will stand strong, yeah. We will stand strong. We will stand strong.
He spoke the earth into being. You stood within the flames. You walked upon the water. Your presence like the wind. God over all, His power in all we see. God over all, His power and work in me. God over all, His power in all we see. God over all, God over all. You're the rock that we stand on. You're the fire in our hearts. You lead us out over the water. You are the air we breathe. God over all, His power in all we see. God over all,
shout God's power over what? Oh, I think you've forgotten. When I shout God's power over what, you shout God's power over all. Alright, let's try it again. God's power over what? That's it, guys. So yesterday it was all about the earth and how God created everything, and it is amazing. But today we are looking at fire. And there are actually a lot of stories in the Bible about fire, but this one especially helps us to remember to stand up for what we believe in and stand strong and remember that God is always with us. It is the story of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, and they get thrown into a fiery furnace, but it's got a happy ending. So let's read the story. So I'm going to be reading Daniel chapter 3 starting at verse 8, and you can follow along in your Bible. Now King Nebuchadnezzar had a gold statue made. That statue was 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. Then the king called the important leaders and officers in his kingdom. He wanted these men to come to the special service for the statue he had set up. So they all came for the special service, and they stood in front of the statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an announcement was made. People, nations, and men of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. When you hear the music, you must bow down and worship the gold statue. This is the one King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. Everyone must bow down and worship this gold statue. Anyone who doesn't will be quickly thrown into a blazing furnace. Now people, nations, and men who spoke every language were there, and they heard the music. So they bowed down and worshipped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then some Babylonians came up to the king. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "Our king, live forever. Our king, you gave a command. You said that when anyone hears the music, they would have to bow down and worship the gold statue. Anyone who wouldn't do this was to be thrown into a blazing furnace. Our king, there are some men of Judah who did not pay attention to your order. You made them important officers in the area of Babylon. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They do not serve your gods, and they do not worship the gold statue you have set up." Nebuchadnezzar became very angry. He called for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So those men were brought to the king. And Nebuchadnezzar said, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, is it true that you do not serve my gods? Is it true that you did not worship the gold statue I have set up? Now you will hear the music, and you must be ready to bow down and worship the statue I made. That will be good. But if you do not worship it, you will be thrown quickly into the blazing furnace. Then no God will be able to save you from my power." Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered the king. They said, "Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves to you. You can throw us into the blazing furnace. The God we serve is able to save us from the furnace and your power. If he does this, it is good. But even if God does not save us, we want you, our king, to know this. We will not serve your gods. We will not worship the gold statue you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual. Then he commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The king told the soldiers to throw them into the blazing furnace. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were tied up and thrown into the blazing furnace. They were still wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes. The king was very angry when he gave the command, and the furnace was made very hot. The fire was so hot that the flames killed the strong soldiers who took Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego there. Firmly tied, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was very surprised and jumped to his feet. He asked his men who advised him, "Didn't we tie up only 3 men? Didn't we throw them into the fire?" They answered, "Yes, our king." The king said, "Look, I see 4 men. They are walking around in the fire. They are not tied up. They are not burned. The 4th man looks like a son of the gods." Then Nebuchadnezzar went to the opening of the blazing furnace. He shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, come out! Servants of the Most High God, come here." So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. When they came out, the important men crowded around them. They saw that the fire had not harmed their bodies. Their hair was not burned. Their robes were not burned, and they didn't even smell like smoke. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Their God has sent his angels and saved his servants from the fire. These 3 men trusted their God. They refused to obey my command. They were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god other than their own. So I now make this law. The people of any nation or language must not say anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Anyone who does will be torn apart, and his house will be turned into a pile of stones. No other God can save his people like this." And then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the area of Babylon. I love this story. It is one of my favourites, and it is a great reminder of us to stand up for what we believe in. Do you think that you would be brave enough to stand up for what you believed in just like they did? It was a really tricky situation. Well, you've done some great listening, so I think it's time to do some crafts. Let's go to the creation station. Welcome back to the creation station. I can't wait to do the crafts that we got planned for today. But the first one that we've got is actually pretty messy, so make sure you cover your workspace with some newspaper or a big sheet of paper or a tablecloth, an old tablecloth, whatever you have, just to protect your surface, because it's all about heat and fire today. So we're going to be melting some crayons. Now it's completely random what's in your pack, so if you have any other wax crayons, you can grab those as well. And you'll also need a piece of your card. And you will also need to find, and I hope you all have one somewhere in your house, a hairdryer. Well, I hope you all managed to find your hairdryer and your crayons and your card. What you'll need to do is you'll need to unwrap all of your crayons. So take the paper outing off your crayons. Okay, so here are my 3 colours that I have randomly, and it's up to you how you do this. You can just take the whole crayon, if you get some sellotape, and just rest them on the top of your paper. If you get your hairdryer and melt them, the wax will slowly drip down the paper, and it looks pretty cool. And then of course, because we're talking about fire, if you turn it upside down, those drips will look like flames. So you can do it that way. Or the other way is actually to break the crayons up and place them on the paper wherever you want them, that colour, randomly or in a specific place, and then melt them with the hairdryer that way. And then if you hold up your paper while it's still wet, it will get that drip effect. So that's the way I'm going to do it, but if you just want to try the ones with the main crayons, that's absolutely fine too. Let's break these crayons. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces and I'm just going to arrange them how I want them. So I'm going to imagine that the dark colour is going to be at the bottom of my fire, and then the medium colour, and then the lightest colour. And then as I drip it from the darkest to the lightest, hopefully that will look something like a flame. Okay, so when you have your crayons placed nicely where you like, take your piece of foil and just place it over the top of your crayon pieces. Don't move the crayons around, just press it down gently. Now the reason we're doing this is because I tried it with the hairdryer without anything covering the crayons, and the first thing that happened is the crayons flew off the table and nothing melted. So you just need to put the foil on here to start the crayons melting, because that's what will stick to the card, and then you can take it off before you do your dripping. And there you have it. There is our melty wax picture. Now as soon as you stop heating it, it will solidify, it will get hard really quick. Alright, if you didn't like that one and you want to do something else, or even if you did like it and you still want to do something else, here is another similar craft, but this time using paints and a straw. So you want to add some paint into the middle of your paper, big splodge. Don't worry too much about how you add it. And it needs to be fairly watery paint. Pretty much, if you can get it to fall off your paintbrush, that's perfect. And don't worry too much about which colours you put down first. Do try to have some of the brighter ones in the middle at the bottom, because it will become clear in a second why. Okay, when you have all of your colours that you want for your fire on your page, what you need to do next is get some black paint and just do a big splodge right over all the colours. And don't worry, I haven't gone crazy, there is a reason. Right, so now we've got this black splodge of nothingness. We're going to take a straw and we're going to blow out from the center and just watch what happens. Now my paint was actually really thick, so it didn't slide as much as it should have done. But once you've got your paint to the right thickness, if you blow it, the more you blow into the middle, the more of those bright colours will shine through the black and you'll get a great fire picture. I hope you didn't get too messy, but we are all about the fire today. So before we get any further, let's watch the story in cartoon form.
Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonian king, thought he was mighty, but was a ding-a-ling. He built an image, made it out of gold, gathered the people and said,
Behold, I've got this image, and when the music plays, you all must bow down, and if you don't obey, I've got this furnace burning hot with fire. I'll throw you in there, you will expire.
The people in the land did just as they were told. The music started playing, they bowed before the gold. They feared the brutal king, what he promised he would do. Everybody, they obeyed him, everybody but a few. What will you do when you're put to the test? Will you obey God or bow down like the rest? He won't forsake you, he'll be your best friend. He's proven faithful time and time again. Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego heard the king's order, but they all said no. No, 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 no. Nebuchadnezzar, heaping, hopping mad.
So you won't bow down? Well, I'll make you wish you had.
Our God can save us, this we know is true.
I'll work you all up.
And if he doesn't, we still won't listen to you.
They heated up the fire 7 times as hot. The soldiers threw them in, were burned right there on the spot. The king looked in the fire, looked and was amazed. There were 4 instead of 3 standing in the fiery blaze.
Exit the fire and come talk to me. I don't smell smoke. How can that be? Your God has delivered you. I'm gonna give you better jobs with a lot better pay. What will you do when you're put to the test? Will you obey God or bow down like the rest? He won't forsake you, he'll be your best friend.
He's proven faithful time and time again.
God's power over what? Right, I think it is time for a game. How good are you at obstacle courses? Welcome to The Floor is Lava Garden Edition. Now you can do this game at home. You do not have to use the stuff that we've got. You can use whatever you have, and you can do it from your bedroom to the kitchen, or from one side of your house to the other, up the stairs without touching the floor, however you want to do it. But our version, we've used all the things in our garden and a few things from our house as well. So this is our course. We start here on the very safe platform, and we're going to climb over the chairs. And onto the stepping stones, and onto the racket stepping stones. Keep going, keep going. Onto the cargo net. Onto the wall. Balance, balance, balance on the wall. Onto the cushioned chair. Onto the ironing board. Over and under the swing set. Don't bang your head. Onto the swing. Swing, swing, swing. Onto whoop, the mat. Into the basket, through the clothes dryer, onto the block, and back to safety. Do you think you can do it?
Yes, I
Alright, let's do it. The floor is lava, no touching the grass.
Yeah, I know.
Or else you have to start all over again.
Okay.
Can she do it? Oh, can you do it? onto the stepping stones. Whoa! There was a few toes that were burnt there. Let's try again.
Oh.
Oh.
Lemon. And a step on the rock.
Now make sure you get your parents' permission when you do something like this and you're not climbing on furniture that you shouldn't be. And I hope you have fun! Now make sure you tidy up after you've done your obstacle course. Now, it doesn't have to be right now, but it has to be later. Make sure we keep our parents on our side. Alright, let's go and find out what this story is all about.
Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone see me? I'm here in the dark, all by myself. It's a bit scary. Are you afraid of the dark? When I was young, I was very afraid of the dark. But then my mum taught me a lesson. She reminded me that even in the dark, God is still with me. And so slowly I began to believe that. And even though I ended up in the dark sometimes, I wasn't that afraid anymore because I knew that God was with me even in the dark. Shall we turn the lights on? Yeah, I think we should. I'm going to click my fingers and get the lights to come on. 1, 2, 3. That's so much better with the lights on. And I wonder if you can see over here and over here. What does it say? I am with you. God is always with us, even in the dark. We shouldn't be afraid because He's with us. And whenever God is with us, we don't have to be afraid that much because God's on our side and He's bigger than any bad person. He's bigger than any bad situation. And even if we are in the dark, He's still with us. And so that's why I'm not really frightened of the dark anymore. Because I know that even in the dark, God is still with me.
Joshua chapter 1 verse 9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and be courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord, your God will be with you wherever you go.
Now don't forget to write the memory verse down somewhere so you can remember it. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. It's a great one from Joshua that can still apply to our lives today. Now we have another fire related craft for today. So we're going to go over to the creation station. I'm so loving learning about this story and doing these fire crafts. So here is another one, a bit less messy than the others for today. You'll have to grab your black card and your fire coloured tissue paper. You'll also need to have a glue stick, some scissors, and some of this sticky back plastic. And then to finish it off, you'll need your candle. Okay, so we are making a candlelight holder, but we're going to make it look like flames to help us remember that we are never alone when it gets tough and that we should stand strong. So grab your black card, and if you want to, you can draw a pattern or you can just cut it out with your scissors. Now the best way to cut through card when you want the edges around is to just fold it where you want to make the hole and then just cut that area with the scissors. Now it really doesn't have to be anything that looks like fire, it can be just shapes. You see that there? Okay, and we can do whatever you like, big ones, small ones, you could even just do a pattern, hearts, diamonds, smiley face, however you like. We're just going to make some holes all the way along our black card. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I think you just about make out the shapes I've made. Very random shapes. But what we're going to do is we're going to now take our glue stick and we're going to basically glue all of one side of the black card ready for our tissue paper. Okay, there you have it. I think you can just about make out the glue on here. Now the reason we put the glue on the card and not on the tissue paper, because glue and tissue paper doesn't really mix and it rips really quickly. But now grab your tissue paper and you just start sticking small bits to cover over the holes that you have made. Alright, here you have it. Here is my candle holder. Now, this is where the sticky back plastic comes in, because you might find on the other side you've got all of these bits that are kind of tufting around a bit. So first, if they're coming off the edge, just give them a trim. And then we're going to lay our sticky back plastic down over this, so it gives it a nice finish that is strong. It won't peel off at the first chance. So grab your sticky back plastic, and you're going to stick it down straight over the top of our tissue paper. Okay, so sticky black plastic is just got paper on one side. You can even just tear it slightly and you'll be able to grab the edge and it'll be clear underneath. So peel off the paper from one edge and then stick that side down onto your card. And then peel as you go. Okay, so there you'll have it. You'll have a nice shiny side with your tissue paper stuck perfectly down and it won't go anywhere now. Alright, so now let's make it into a tube for our candle. All you'll need to do is just curl it round and put some Pritt stick or even some sellotape on the end to hold it together. And there you have it, your tea light holder that looks like fire. You can grab your candle, put it inside. So for today, our prayer activity is something really simple. It is hopefully something you can do whenever you are scared. Maybe you need a bit of help from God to get you through difficult situations, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And it's something you can do anywhere. We are going to pray standing up. So if you're not standing up now, stand up. And I want you to put your feet together and arms by your sides. Now it might seem really strange to stand tall and pray to God because we're usually sitting down or kneeling or lying or being comfortable. But changing the way our body is helps us to focus. So standing nice and tall, we are going to spend a few minutes just in silence so you can pray in your head to God. And I want you to think of a situation where you need God's help to stand up for Him. So it could be that you're scared about going back to school in a few weeks' time. Maybe it's something that's happening at home that you're a bit worried about. I want you to pray, but standing nice and tall. And let me just pray to finish. Dear God, thank you that we can remember that you are always with us through good times and bad times. Help us to remember to stand up for you even when it is scary, because you are always with us. Thank you that you looked after Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, and you can look after us. In your name I pray. Amen. Well, that is the end of another session. You've got a few more minutes to finish up what you were doing. If you haven't had the chance, maybe have another go on the Floor is Lava course. And I will see you at 12 o'clock for our ending Zoom. See you in a bit.